Hi guys, and welcome back to another video on home and marriage with Garfield and Latoya. And today we are going to be talking about conflict resolution. I don't know if you have had a chance to see our last video. If you have not, I will leave a link of that video in the description bar below. But that video was on offense. And this is almost like a follow-up, or it goes hand in hand with offense, how to deal with conflict. So let's get right into the video. So, what is conflict? And conflict is just a disagreement. Just a disagreement between two or more parties. Alright, so can a marriage be conflict free? What do you think, Garfield?
I don't think a marriage. Well, I don't think a healthy marriage can be conflict free. I just don't think it can be conflict free.
Alright, so I agree. I don't think a healthy marriage can be conflict free. Reason being, one of the biggest reasons, because we are so different. And we are different in so many ways. So let's think about, and I've heard people, I think Garfield have heard people say this before too, that before we got married, everything was okay, everything was just butterflies and birds and roses. But as soon as we got married, whoa, everything seemed to go south. And what we believe is that as soon as you get married, you are actually plunged into this life of togetherness where you are opening up yourself to this person. This person is opening up themselves to you. You're seeing all their faults, all their flaws, everything. They start burping and passing gas before you. Well, I know a lot of us women, we tend to not do that when we're dating, or courting. We kind of ease it in little by little, but so many different things, so many things you're getting to see and to know and to learn about your spouse when you enter into marriage. So sometimes it would seem as if before you were married it was better, but then as you enter into marriage, then things seem to get worse. But no, it's just that you were probably holding some of those things in, and now that you're more comfortable, you're like more relaxed, and you're letting go of some of your inhibitions, because now you're becoming more vulnerable to your partner, and as we build relationships, our differences will manifest themselves even more. God never intended for us to be uniformed, but His intention is for us to be unified.
To be united and to be one.
Right.
So a lot of times says that, you see, we get married and we get comfortable with each other, and the stage where we try to impress, it's that we pass that stage. So the real you start coming out, and sometimes even before you can get married, you may have seen certain tendency, but within your mind you think you can fix it, and just realize that, hey, this person is real, and this thing that I saw that I thought I could fix, I really realized it's not as easy a fix as I thought it was, because some of the things that make us different, they have been with us. Some have been with us from birth, like our gender, a woman, a man. We're so different in many different areas, different in the way we think, different in the way we emote. For example, women are more relational. Women, yearn for relationship more. Men tend to want to challenge. Men want to conquer competition. We think like that. And while women tend to be more emotional in the sense that they show their emotions a little bit more, right, than men. Men do show emotions, but yes, we don't want to show up our emotions as easily as women show their emotion. That's one difference is, mental, emotionally, that will cause conflict, as the woman might be a bit emotional, the man may not be, and it can cause a conflict. And then even gender in terms, even sex, as well to sex.
The act or
The act of sex.
okay.
You know, women, they are in a cycle. You know, generally speaking, on a cycle, and at different. Those are guys who are married. Those are guys who are involved in relationships. When a woman is on her cycle, there are times when she's more sexually aroused, right? And the desire for sex is greater. For men, it may be a bit different. They say that men always want to have sex, which is not
Always
totally
ready.
true. We're always ready, except if we're not feeling well, we're tired, or we have something on our mind. But generally speaking, we don't have cycles. So when a man might want to have sex, a woman might not want to have sex. So even over agenda, things that we didn't even ask for, it's
Have no
that's
control
the control.
over.
That's just who we are, and these things can really and truly lead to the differences can lead to conflict where we have a disagreement.
Another difference is even in personalities. For example, I am very quiet. I'll talk when I need to, but I'm on the quiet side. Garfield, he's very talkative. I always tell Garfield that he's a conversationalist. You can meet Garfield today and you would think that you know him for 10, 12 years. That's just the type of person he is. He lights up a room. I'll go in and probably people don't even know that I'm in the room. Well, that's just one of the ways that we're different. And sometimes he might want to talk and I don't, and he wants me to talk and I just don't want to talk. I remember once we had a conflict, we were driving. I don't remember if we were...
We're going to Georgia, and believe it or not, for the entire journey, actually, I turned to her once and said, "Baby, are you all right?" I mean, I appreciate it, but she just doesn't talk. And imagine driving this long 5-hour journey, about 7-hour
7 hours.
journey, and you would talk, and she just sit there, look to the window, look, and just be
Enjoying the scenery.
yeah, and I'm saying, you can't talk to me. You know, so much so differences, you know. And
So that's a way that you can be different and it can cause conflicts. Another way is some people I know might say that they're a morning person. Another person might be an evening person. So you feel like you can't talk to people when in the morning because it's just not your time. Or somebody who speaks loudly and who is quiet. You know, so some of those things can cause conflicts.
and then there are other things growing up in our families, growing up in environment, community, home. You know, we develop values. You know, things that we value more. Some family may value, you know, spending time with each other. Some may not. So when two individuals come together, what we one value, spending time with family, one didn't. It becomes a problem where one just want to be working, want to be on the road, hanging out with his buddies, you know, and one wants to spend time with family. That can cause conflict also. You know, even interest. I mean, I love sports. That child doesn't love sports. I mean, on the Olympics, she might want to watch some of those Lifetime movies. The same plot. You can tell the same. Even Samuel, my son. He can look at a Lifetime movie at the beginning and can tell it's gonna end. Boy meet girl in a country town, fall in love, all love come back eat and they break up and they come back and the same plot every time. But I like sports, so if I want to watch sports, I want to watch Lifetime, those Lifetime lovey-dovey movie. You know, it might cause a conflict. You know, it's a possibility, or belief system, or habits, and there are spiritual differences. We're both Christians. But or even within Christianity or denominational upbringing can also cause conflict. I mean, one may believe in worship on Saturday, one may believe in worship on Sunday. That can cause conflict. Even doctrines of speaking in tongues or not speaking in tongues.
Yeah.
Those simple things, those differences can cause conflict. And then maturity. There's some of us who come to the relationship more mature than others because I like just life experience, what I've experienced. So I may have experienced some stuff that I may not have experienced. And as a result, I take a level of maturity in the marriage that probably she doesn't have. And sometimes because I view things this way because of life experience, she views it a different way because she doesn't experience things that I've experienced, or vice versa. And these things within themselves can cause conflict as we try to work through the issues of life, finance, child rearing, and whatever it is, it may cause conflict.
So many of the differences from which conflicts arise are natural and within themselves do not pose a danger for the relationship or to the relationship. The devil will use our differences. Yes, the devil will and can use our differences as a launching pad to attack each other and cause division in our marriages, division in our families, division in our relationships. They become a problem when we esteem our differences above those of others. And Philippians 2 verse 3 to 4 says, "Do nothing from selfishness or empty conceit, but with humility of mind regard one another as more important than yourselves. Do not merely look out for your own personal interests, but also for the interests of others."
Conflict within themselves is not bad. They're not bad within themselves. Conflict, they're not bad. Just differences. But if they're not dealt with properly, conflicts, it not dealt with properly, they can have negative repercussions. Yeah. We end up in quarreling, and quarreling again is different from argument. Argument is where we have our differences and we lay our differences out. Quarreling is more like you're attacking each other. There's no real point.
Attacking with words, right?
Attacking with words, it's almost as though with quarreling there's no real objective. Mm-hmm. With arguing or dealing with conflict, in the right way, you have a goal. The goal is to reach reconciliation, to reach a compromise, so the relationship can flourish and both parties can grow. So when conflict are not dealt with properly, there are some negative consequences. Of course, I've said you quarrel and you come home with your wife or with your husband, and you're just not happy. Just keep quarreling because you're not dealing with conflict the right way, and this can lead to the kids being affected mentally and emotionally, and eventually physically. Performance in school, so the family become dysfunctional, and which over time it's possible that they can lead to divorce, separation or divorce. So when not dealt with, there can be negative results. But there are benefits in conflict, because what conflict does, conflict bring different perspective to the relationship. For example, Latoya and I, Latoya is not really a spender, but Latoya, she believes in enjoying life. We won't just got married. She believes more in enjoying life, and we don't know if we're going to live to see it tomorrow, and she's believing that. I, on the other hand, I believe that we should save money. I believe that we should be thinking about tomorrow, and this caused a conflict. But what happened is that I saw her perspective, and
I saw his perspective.
Right. And so we worked on it, and as we worked on it, our values changed.
Yeah.
So as our perspective changed because of the conflict, our values changed. Our values, things that probably would have bought, without even thinking much. Not me, she should have bought without even thinking of it. Changed because we realized, I'm probably enjoying life. I value enjoying life. What you have changed for me. Things that probably I wouldn't have done. Right. I thought a little bit more. And it allows us to grow and become one and to live
because you have started living more, right? And I've started thinking about the future more,
right? So we're moving forward, we're compromising. So and then it allows God's grace to be exhibited in our life. When I look and I see that she wants to buy this and I don't think so, but I look at her and I say, I'm going to compromise. I'm going to extend that level of grace, and she do the same thing to me. So we grow in the purpose and they help us to mature, So as our deal with conflict is just as big as the conflict itself, So the conflict itself is an issue. But how we deal with conflict, in my opinion, can be as big as the conflict itself or even bigger than the conflict.
Yes.
Make sense?
Yes.
And what happens many times
And that's so true. The conflict might be over something so minute, so tiny, but how you deal with the conflict can determine if the outcome is big or small.
That's a very good point. But we generally deal with conflicts in different ways, and there are different ways in which we can deal with conflict. And I don't know where I read this. I read this somewhere before where they say we can deal with conflict as a dove, where you're always a peacemaker, blessed are the peacemaker, and it's good to be peaceful. But what the dove does, the dove acknowledges that there's a conflict, but dove gives in all the time.
Just want to make peace.
Just to make it's peace at all costs. So there is a false sense of peace, and the issue is not really dealt with, because the absence of war doesn't mean that there is peace. So not because two people are not quarreling or arguing doesn't mean that there's not a war brewing, you know?
Yeah.
But it seemed peaceful, like a hurricane. In the middle of the hurricane, it seemed so calm. But around it, but at the end tail, something is coming. Turmoil. So while we need to be peaceful, we need to face the situation. It's a conflict that is making either or both partners uncomfortable, and there's no compromise, and you can't move forward. It's important that we deal with it. Deal with it. And not just say, okay, let there be peace and walk away. And that thing will be built up year after year after year after year. And this thing about the straw that broke the camel's back, this is what will happen. Year after year, we be the peacemaker. Year after year, we try to be the good person. And it keeps going.
Then at one point in time, you're just going to get tired. Because you're always one making peace.
Right.
Extending the olive branch.
Yes. And that's why when we're offended, especially when the conflict is concerned, based on last week's presentation, what do you call it?
Marriage presentation.
Marriage video we did. You go to the person and tell the person you feel. You know, tell the person you feel and work through it.
And then sometimes we deal with conflict like the lion, where the lion comes in with a force, not being objective or not even thinking about compromise. It's just your way, you're right, and you're roaring and you're mighty, you know, and everybody's full of fear and everybody has to conform to you and your ideals, you know. But the problem with that is someone's ego is elevated and someone is also hurt.
Feelings crushed.
Yes. And guess what? The issue is not dealt with.
And that built up resentment and same issues and done. But then the third one we have here is like the opossum. And with the opossum, I could even use the ostrich. What is the opossum?
Okay.
The opossum sees a problem, but plays dead. And I've realized something, that when the opossum plays dead, it's not really playing dead. It's an involuntary action that kicks in, that paralyzes a possum for a while.
When danger
is near. So an opossum will see the danger. And when they see the danger, is that their body, it kicks in, and so their body is paralyzed, because in the wild, most wild animals don't eat dead animals. So a possum, that mechanism kicking where it fakes there, and its body is paralyzed, and it takes a while before it gets back up and can move. But the problem is, on the road we see a possum lying dead on the road so often, because while they see the danger,
and the danger might pass,
because they didn't deal with it the right way by running out, because they really can't.
They can't.
We're not really blaming them, but you get the point. And they stay there. A car comes and kill them. So in relationship, we see the problem. I will just pretend.
Play dead.
We're not playing peacemaker. We just play dead. It's not hurting me. I'm not feeling it. It's not affecting me any at all. But it's killing you. So they'll stop being like an opossum. Or an ostrich will hide his head in the sand, thinking that because his head is in the sand, the danger is not there. Only to his body's out, it can be exposed. You know.
Yeah.
So these are some way in which we really deal with conflict.
All right. So how should we really deal with conflict? All right. So the first thing I have here is that we need to pray and pray with a tender heart, asking God for wisdom to deal with the situation rightly. So the first thing, as I said before, is make sure that you pray with an open and tender heart, seeking counsel from God.
And the next point is that we should practice empathy. And empathy is not necessarily you changing your opinion. It's not you changing your opinion. But empathy is more, okay, I love this woman. I love my wife. I want to understand where she is at. So what I do is like an out-of-body experience I have, like in those sci-fi movie, where I get on my body, I go in her body, just to see what she's seeing and feeling what she's feeling. And then I come back to myself with my same opinion, my same thinking. But what happens now, because I put myself in her shoe or in her body, in a sci-fi kind of way, I kind of understand where she's coming from. I see where she's coming from. And what I do in the process, I validate her feeling. I'm not saying I agree with her feeling. I'm not saying my opinion has changed. But I'm saying I see where you are coming from. I'm not going to be a lion where I'm going to just push my way down. I'm not going to be a person where I'm going to pretend it's not there. I'm not going to be a dove where I'm just say, okay, let's peace with you because she's hurting. What we're going to do, I'm going to listen to her, validate what she's feeling, and let us work from there.
Right. And then another point is do not attack your spouse, but attack the issue. So your spouse is not your enemy. Remember, you are supposed to be one. So you're not attacking an enemy. You're supposed to be working together to attack the issue. That is what you want to deal with. That is what you want to fix, the issue, not your spouse. And a lot of times we try to fix our spouses and it doesn't work. We were not married to fix each other
or change each other. When Lotte and I got married, we had some differences, and
many differences.
Many differences. I will still have some many differences. One thing I told her that there are things about me that weren't destructive to the marriage. There are things about me that made me who I was at the time and still made me who I am. So when there's something that she wanted me to change, and she I said to her, I told her point blank that how is this affecting the marriage in a negative way? All right, and there are moments there are times where she said, "Oh, Garfield, this is affecting me this way." I look at it and I realize that there's something I needed to adjust and compromise. So over time, I adjusted. But she just wanted me to change just because she wanted me to change. I didn't really. I didn't change certain things. I said, no, let's work through this.
Yeah.
Because
some things we work through, some things we just throw out the window.
Yeah, throw through the window. You can't just strip down who you are before everything about you. You become one, but you separate still. I don't get up and stop liking sports. I don't stop liking sports because she doesn't like sports. I mean, I learned to work around liking sports so it doesn't affect her and the relationship. I don't stop liking sports. But if, for example, I used to be out all night drinking my body, which I never used to do, drinking all night, not coming home until 2 o'clock in the mornings and coming home drunk, and she have a problem with that, that's affecting the marriage. It's on me to change that. You understand? So, and again, we repent and be ready to extend forgiveness. So in a conflict, if you realize that by sticking to your guns and believe what you believe in,
he's right, but I'm right too.
Yeah. so we what we do, we learn to say we were wrong. If I realize I'm wrong, say wrong, and willing to extend forgiveness.
And also, if you realize that you're at a point where there's no headway, you're not making a headway. The issue is not being resolved. Try to get a neutral party involved. Try to get somebody who is not going to be biased on either side, but can tell you the truth. or even a counselor, a pastor or a counselor, somebody who can guide you into making right decisions.
And I think sometimes also when we have conflict and sometimes it may get heated, sometimes we need to back off for a while and just breathe a little bit before we come back to do the issues. But one thing which is very advisable, not to go to bed, especially if you're angry with a conflict. The conflict doesn't have to be solved the very same day, but make sure you're at a point where there's an understanding that we're going to work this through.
Right.
We're going to work this through. We can't stay up until 5 o'clock the next morning to try to talk it through. I'm going to work at 5:30. I mean, that's not wisdom. But we try to our best not to go to bed angry with each other.
Also, I've heard that the first 3 years of marriage are the most difficult years. And I guess because during those first 3 years, it's the initial stage of marriage where you're exercising who you are, living together, getting acclimatized to having somebody around you 24/7. Because dating somebody or just talking to them on the phone is totally different than living with them. They're leaving the toilet seats up. They're leaving shoes and socks in the living room, and you're leaving your hair and your makeup all over the place, and just differences, even in your background and how you might spend your quiet time and so on. So learning your spouse and learning how to love them even through all of that can be difficult. But that's where you need to gel and come together and even create your own traditions. Whether your husband loves sports and you love Lifetime movies, maybe you can watch a sport game with him and he can watch a Lifetime movie with you, but making sure that you try to gel and you come together. And in doing so, you will lessen conflict. I'm not saying it will go away totally, because there will always be conflicts. But I guess over time you will iron out some of those differences, and you will learn more how to attack conflicts together.
And I think what conflict does for us is that it allows us to grow as Christians, as I said earlier. Because with conflict and the differences and offenses that will come through the conflict from time to time, it allows us for the gospel to be seen in the marriage. You know? When you're there, you want to have your own way and pride and ego stand up.
Oh yes, when you want to hold on to that to that feeling and you're wanting to hurt.
Right. Love, the love, that part of the gospel comes in. We esteem the other person above your need.
Yes.
You know, you extend grace, you extend forgiveness. That's the gospel. So when it comes to conflict, when we hide from conflict and don't deal with conflict in a biblical way, we deny the gospel of Jesus Christ to be seen in our lives, and we prevent our kids from seeing two sinners, two imperfect human beings coming together, work to the grace of God, working through their imperfections, working through their differences, and seeing God being revealed in the marriages. Yes. So conflict itself is not bad. Conflict is not bad, but it's just the way we deal with it that makes a difference.
Yes. So thank you guys. That is the end of our session for today on conflict. I hope that you guys have learned something from this session. If you have, please mention it in the comments area below, something that you have learned. Watch the other video. I will leave that link in the description bar below, the one that we did before on offense. Very good video also. But as always, it's always a pleasure having you here. Please, if you have not subscribed already, go ahead, subscribe, hit the notification bell, like this video, share it, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.